Good morning, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Welcome out to the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. Reverend Karen's got a great talk. Clyde's all jazzed up in the back, and so
Some people
he
are
does.
all giggly.
Yeah, there was. I don't know if you guys heard everybody laughing in there, but it was, kind of crazy for a prayer. So anyway, we're going to start the song, the service with "This Is the Day." So if please rise and join in the spirit, or sit and clap, or join us online. We'd love to see you here. Thank you.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Sing it with me. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized.
Good morning. Welcome to West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend Clyde Goings. I'm the assistant minister here. I want to welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. And I heard Rod saying something about a bunch of ruckus in the room back there.
There was ruckus.
You're not supposed to talk about what goes on behind the curtain, Rod. Anyway, so that's our secret, our morning secret. The energy that's in there is incredible. All right, so we've got a lot of wonderful things going on. I want to share a couple of holiday events that are coming up. The first one, and all of this stuff will be in the bulletin that you're receiving. It's also in the newsletter. If you have not received the newsletter, then you can sign up for the newsletter and out in Homes Base and fill out the form. And Kate will make sure that we get you added to the email distribution. And we also have the information on our website. But the first event is we have Bowls of Thanksgiving, which is going to be November the 19th, and it's going to be a soup stew potluck, and so we're asking everybody to bring soup and stew for Thanksgiving theme, and we're going to be celebrating the Bowls of Thanksgiving. December 2nd, we're going to be transforming this center into Christmas and hanging up all our Christmas decorations. So if you're available on that Saturday, the information is in the bulletin. We'd love for you to come and join us and help us decorate this beautiful spiritual home. And then the third quick announcement is on December the 20th is our candlelight service. It's the Wednesday night before Christmas is when we do our candlelight service. So please mark your calendars because that will also be a beautiful event. So we have one more quick announcement from Kay Fontana with her information of her class coming up.
Thank you. Good morning. So I want to let you know that the Tuesdays in November, I'm offering a 4-week Qigong introduction to, let me say my words right, introduction to Qigong. And Qigong is a beautiful meditation, moving martial art that is beautiful, and it's very good for you. It's healthy, and I think you'll all enjoy it. But it's going to be starting this Tuesday, November 7th, from 6 to 7 p.m. in the evening, and it is $40 for the whole 4 weeks. And so I hope to see you there. And there's a sign-up sheet at home space. Thank you.
Yeah, so moving meditation is one of our spiritual practices, and so this is a great way for a great introduction to a new way to expand your spiritual practices. All right, so before we get on with the service, it's the month of November, and the month of November means that we are talking about our pledge program. So our pledge program is called Seeding the Future. And so it's called Seeding the Future. And so it starts today, and our theme this year is Be the Change. So each week you're going to be receiving a gift from us. And so this week you should have received a little card, a business card. And on one side it has an abundance prayer, and then on the other side it has a mantra. So as we continue to evolve individually and collectively as a spiritual community and as the world, I'm inviting you to be the change. Each one of us is like one pebble that is dropped into a pond. It creates ripples in the water. So what you do and what you believe is shaping your life, shaping our community, and shaping the world. Our Seeding the Future Pledge program this year is about knowing that we are co-creating our life. So what brings you joy and happiness? What do you want for our spiritual home? And how is your consciousness affecting the collective consciousness? Your yearly pledge is seeding our future for our spiritual home, and we ask for your continued support by completing the pledge card. You should have received the pledge card, your pledge card in the mail, along with the letter from Reverend Karen. So our goal this year is to collect 40 pledge cards with the total amount of $80,000 or more. So we ask for your pledge amount once a year to help us budget and plan for 2024. We are good stewards of your contributions. We are creating a container or spiritual home to help us learn spiritual principles, to experience loving support, and to be the change. Because of your contributions and support, we have transformed our spiritual home on the inside and outside. We have elevated our Sunday service both in the sanctuary and online. And we plan to offer more classes and events in 2024 to create a strong community as we walk through this spiritual journey called life. Because our theme this year is Be the Change, we are focusing on spiritual practices every week. We are creating a toolbox to help us create the life that we want to experience, grow our center, and transform this world. It starts with each one of us. It starts with our consciousness. So we know that prayer works. I love the way that we pray, and we call prayer spiritual mind treatment because we are treating our mind, we're aligning with the spiritual truth, and we're remembering who we are. When we pray, we recognize the God qualities all around us, and we can accept that we have the same qualities because we are an individualized expression of God. The first two steps in the science of spiritual mind treatment reminds us of our truth. We could actually stop there because now we're aligned with God, and all of our fear and doubt is replaced with acceptance and expectation. We can claim and accept our good, and if you can't imagine it, it isn't going to happen. We all have an imagination. Claim and accept your good. We give thanks because we are grateful. We release because we don't need to know the how. This week, you are receiving that business card. Again, on one side, it has an abundance prayer, and on the other side, it has a mantra. So I'm going to be discussing the mantra later on this month. And I invite you to keep the card with you in your wallet and pray with me every day this month of the abundance for our community and the abundance for our own personal lives. When we pray, we are claiming our good, we are setting intentions and staying open to possibilities. When we pray together, the power is magnified. I have personally experienced abundance in my life, and I have witnessed the outpouring of the abundance of our community. I want to share some information about the pledge program. Again, you should have received your pledge card in the mail, and we have extra pledge cards here at the center if you forget to bring your card in. You can bring your card in and drop it off in the gold box in the bookstore. You can give your pledge card to me, you can give your pledge card to Reverend Karen, or you can mail it in. You can also, on your pledge card, there's a box for auto tithe. If you check that box for auto tithe and you're not currently auto tithing, I'll set up a call with you and I'll help you get set up for auto tithing. And then I also want to let you know that you can change your pledge amount anytime, either up or down, anytime throughout the year. You just need to let me know so we know that what's going on. So our goal this year is to collect 40 pledge cards and with a pledge amount total of $80,000 or more. So please join me in praying for the abundance of our spiritual home. So I want to close with the quote from Mother Teresa, and this is what she says about prayer. I used to believe that prayer changes things, but now I know that prayer changes us and we change things. And so it is. So now that is our opening information about our pledge program, and please join me in supporting the abundance of our community. So let's go ahead and say our vision statements as we move into the service. We are a loving, joy-filled community honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science mind principles. Now, if you can just sit back, relax, open up your hearts and minds for the Bradford's beautiful music and Reverend Karen's beautiful message. Thank you.
I will make a quiet place within my heart. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my life. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
a quiet place that is God, that sweet spirit, the divine intelligence that resides in each one of us, that God that is the source of all good, the source of love, peace, joy, abundance, prosperity, and all that. That God that is expressing in everything on this planet and everything in the universe, the stars, the sun, the moon, the trees, the ground, the building that we are in right here, right now. It is all God. And I know that each one of us are the divine, individualized expressions of God as we are one with Sweet Spirit. And I know that as we are here today in West Valley Center for Spiritual Living, that each one of us is that divine expression. We are the expression of love and peace and joy and abundance and prosperity and all that God is. And I speak a word of blessing for each one of us here, each one of us watching online, and for those who cannot be with us today. A blessing that we are whole, perfect, and complete. And a blessing for the Bradfords, knowing that their beautiful music touches our hearts and souls. That harmony that they are so eloquently, divinely gifted, touches us in magnificent ways. And a blessing for each one in service today, and for Reverend Karen, knowing that God speaks through her, in, through, and as her, right here, right now. And she is here to gift us with a beautiful message that touches our hearts and is exactly what we are here to receive. And for all other faith traditions, knowing that there are many paths to that one God. And I'm so blessed and grateful for this day. So grateful knowing this truth. And I release my words into the law, knowing that it is already done. It is so. And together we say, and so it is. Today my reading is from The Voice of Knowledge, a practical guide to inner peace by Don Miguel Ruiz. And in his chapter, Opening Our Spiritual Eyes, I see my physical body as a mirror where life through light can see itself. I see my physical body as an evolution of life. Life is evolving. It is pushing matter. It is creating. The creation of humanity is not over yet. The creation of humanity is happening right now in your physical body. That force is helping you evolve. That force makes you perceive, analyze, dream, and create a story about everything you perceive. And then he goes on to say, once you open your spiritual eyes, you see the dream of your life. You see how much time you waste by playing with petty concerns, by playing with all of that nonsense and meaningless drama. You see how you keep yourself from enjoying a reality of love, a reality of joy. So let's take a moment to contemplate that. And so it is.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Letting fear and worry fall away from me, I open my eyes and see There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
Thank you, Bradfords. Good morning. Oh, you multiplied in the dark again. I love it when that happens. Oh, well, that's an old movie. Do you know that's from a movie? Multiplied in the dark, those little, that you shouldn't let them get near water. Remember, it was one of the, nobody remembers that movie but me? Yes, yes, right. It was the Gremlins. That's where I got that line from. But I think of it so often when we have had this precious moment where we're sitting in the stillness, and then you guys do a ballad like that, and then they sing together, and my heart I have to look at you and go, oh my God, that's so beautiful to even observe it. So that's what we're looking at today. We're talking about being keen observers. That's the title of my message this morning as we step into this month of seeding our future and recognizing how prosperous we are in this beautiful life we've been so generously gifted with. I am really excited about so many things. So welcome. I see we have some new faces here and lots of familiar faces, and snowbirds all seem to be back again. I'm loving that. I love how that feels. It's November, folks. It is November, and November is for me very much the close of the year is on my mind. It's a lot of stuff that has to be wrapped up and reports to be done. And in November here at the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living, we focus on stewardship. We do this beautiful campaign that we call Seeding Your Future. And Reverend Clyde, I just want to tell you how gorgeous you have laid the framework of a really wonderful experience, because this year I have sort of gifted Reverend Clyde with, you do it. Take this. Let's see what you can do. If I'm not collaborating with you, what will you come up with? And so I love that the structure feels so comfortable. I'm so happy with this idea of looking at spiritual practice week by week. Today he introduced us to this idea of prayer, and so each week I will be presenting a message based on this framework that Clyde has laid out for all of us, and for me, of course, in the way that we are looking at. Isn't that a fabulous theme? Be the change. Be the change. Let us, and then a great way to conclude with Mother Teresa. I love that, Clyde. We are creating the life that we want. And so everything that we speak to in this month of seeding our future, we want you to hear that in a very personal and individualized way, that you are right now, even as you come together in spiritual community, we are seeding our own future. We're looking at ways to be transformed by renewing our minds, and that's what this teaching and all of New Thought brings forward in this world of tremendous transformation that we are witnessing everywhere. Isn't it lovely to just come sit in the solitude of peace and acceptance and spiritual community and hear gorgeous music and harmonized voices, and to then be surprised by whatever reading the practitioner chooses for the day? And then I get to witness the beautiful, from my standpoint, the way all of that comes together in this great harmonious way to deliver something that impacts our lives. So we are seeding our future as a spiritual community, but it starts with our willingness to individually be open to our own sense of prosperity, remembering that prosperity is our well-being, not just our finances, it is our overall well-being. One of my favorite parts about doing ministry with Reverend Clyde is that we share a similar vision, a ministerial vision that is about being the change. It's like, how do we communicate to individuals how to become the container so that the good that desires to be experienced on this planet at this exact time in the history of humanity and the globe, the planet itself, how do we teach people to become that container? And the way we do that is through looking at spiritual practices and devoting ourselves to some personal time where we are alone with Spirit, communing with this infinite wisdom of the universe, getting ourselves grounded and finding and reestablishing our own inner peace. And so thank you for that gift, Reverend Clyde, that yes, we see the relevance of creating the container so that all the ways in which the universe blesses us in this abundant way, that we will be awake and aware and ready and willing to receive the good that really is so needed on the planet right now and in our own lives. That's where it starts, in our own life. When we step into the month of November, I'd see, it's like Thanksgiving. It's the gratitude month. It's a really important opportunity for us to just practice being grateful. And there is no greater spiritual practice than being very aware of the blessings that are already in our lives and are already expressing as we live our day-to-day path. So in this month, in this very first Sunday of November, I just always feel like my heart is like expansive, that there's something that happens that magnifies my appreciation. And I think it's because it's in our consciousness that November is the month of Thanksgiving, the month of giving thanks and of really counting our blessings in a very physical way. So beyond stewardship as a time where we look at your leadership of this church, the board that stewards and makes the good decisions for the business part of our church, we, in addition to looking at financial commitments and planning the budget, which is why we have a stewardship program. We're going to sit down and we're going to create the budget for next year. And what you give does not cover all the expenses, but we have other sources of income. And we know that there will be unexpected opportunities for income as well. So when we're doing the financial planning and actual budgeting and all of those things, what we're doing is we're participating in a spiritual practice that is necessary in order to continue providing spiritual services on Sundays, in order to maintain the building. So all month long, we will be talking about the law of correspondence, the law of reciprocal action, the law of mental equivalence, as we have a mental image, and the way Reverend Clyde was speaking of it this morning. You have that mental image, and that's how we create the container so that we are ready when whatever it is that's coming emerges, we can hold it. And that's what spiritual practice does for us in our personal lives as well. So that then if something goes sideways in our life, we're equipped. We have skills that we can turn to and use to put us through. So we're going to look at all of those laws, the correspondence, reciprocity, mental equivalence, and of course, to sort of sum it all up, it's the law of circulation. It is about giving and receiving. You can't just give. You have to have that circle, that cycle going. So it is both in giving and in receiving that we keep the flow of life active and moving in our daily living. So Clyde mentioned that we always have a family meeting on the third Sunday in November. And by the way, we are having a potluck next Sunday. Is John Kruger, am I correct? Next Sunday is the second Sunday, yeah? So it is our normal potluck on the second Sunday, but what we're doing for the family meeting is different than anything we've done before. In fact, we're calling it a family social. We're looking at it as a way we can gather together and break bread, and we're trying a new tradition. We'll see how it goes, but we're calling it, what are we calling it? Bowls of Thanksgiving. And so on the third Sunday, we're looking to have soups and stews and foods that bread and desserts, things that will warm our hearts. And then you will have an opportunity. I will have each table set up and prepared, and we'll have table talk, discussion cards or questions, or maybe even a little competition, I don't know. But it'll be friendly, and you don't have to play except in as much as you want to play. But what I do is I like to attempt anyhow to create an environment where we get your feedback. Not like a suggestion box, but really we have done amazing things in the recreation of this sanctuary is a perfect example. The exterior of the building was painted. We didn't think it could be done, and we got locked down, and then we went, hey, this might be a great time that we've got about just enough money to paint the building. What if we just push through and get that done? So we have done one thing after the other. We're constantly beautifying and doing the facelift that's required in maintaining this building. And so we want to know, this will be an opportunity for you to give us feedback. What else should we look at? Your board of trustees will be looking at new projects. We try and keep an eye on what might need to be done. And so I know what projects I have in my heart, but I'm not going to tell you, because I'd rather see what we get collectively. What ideas can you come up with? And by the way, let me tell you how your spiritual leaders around here show up. I did this we broke the ice on this topic at our last leadership retreat. And it was like fighting, tooth and nail, trying to get them to just name a couple of practical things we could work on, because they were saying things like, we should tear down the building and make a gorgeous whole new sanctuary, and we could check the property across the street. And so we have really large visions. And it's like setting goals. You have long-term and short-term goals. So we don't have a shortage of long-term goals. I'll tell you that. We're good Imagineers and we're good dreamers, and it'll be wonderful. I mean, I can just imagine what will happen after I've retired and things keep going here, because Spirit has held this community in place we're getting close to 50 years. What are we, 45, 46? Sue Witter, can you do a quick run now? I want to say 76 maybe. Oh, that's scary. We have to do something for 50 if it was 76 that they chartered this church. Oh, shudder. Any volunteers to coordinate the event? I'll take them after service. See me if you're a good event planner, because we need to have one heck of a party. I have been here for more than 12 years, and before I was here, the minister that was here the longest was only here for 6.5 years. So we have already changed the consciousness of who we are as a community. We can see that we have stability that has we have rooted in consciousness in a new way. But the most glorious thing for me, and for Reverend Clyde and I were having a meeting just last week, an impromptu meeting. We didn't even plan. We were both here in the building, working on the building, doing physical hard work. You probably can't even tell what we did, but we worked really hard and my back's a little sore. But we love this. We love being here. We love, even when you're not here, we love the way there's so much intention and there's such an honorable and respectable appreciation for everything that we have inherited as spiritual leaders, because we stand on the shoulders of all those who came before us. So, I think we're going to be having a lot of fun for the month. Mark your calendar, November 19th for the family social gathering we're going to do. We also ask you, we'll be diving deep and looking for to fill new volunteer positions, and we have a glorious month planned of fun ways we can come together to support and be good stewards of this that we love so much. When Thomas Troward is one of 3 significant people that Ernest Holmes studied in great detail. They never met. Troward lived almost a different generation, precedes Holmes. Holmes is the founder of religious science, this little piece of what we call the bigger umbrella of New Thought. And Thomas Troward was a great metaphysician. He was British and he was raised in India. And he was a judge, so he has he understands the law-based spiritual things we speak about. When I say law of correspondence, law of reciprocity, those are all things terms that Thomas Troward would have been comfortable using. But he had a way he looked at the prosperity consciousness overall, and he called it, are you ready? He called it a spirit of opulence. That is really, talk about rich. A spirit of opulence. I feel in that there's something about having an attitude that implies wealth. I looked up the word opulent, and it goes from everything from exhibiting great wealth to feeling very comfortable. Don't we want to feel very comfortable? I appreciate those times where I do. It also includes a wealth of experiences, emotions, and pleasures. And then there was actually a definition for spiritual opulence. Imagine that. It was just right I'm looking at definitions. Spiritual opulence is a surrendered soul who fully depends on the supreme Godhead. So what a gorgeous idea that there is a spirit of opulence of which we can embody. It's an attitude. It's a way that we grow the wisdom around it, that it's not just intellectual. I had a granddaughter once that I had given a rather generous gift to, and a year later she texted me and she said, gosh, there's this class I want to take and it costs $2,000. I wonder, could you hook me up with that too? And so I laughed. I said in the text, ha 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 ha. It's like, honey, I'm not rich, but I have a great prosperity consciousness. If I had unlimited funds, it would have been easy to do that. And, I was widowed 2 years ago. So I'm laughing, but I'm laughing happily. Isn't that wonderful that she assumes I can just put her a nice little class, So that for me was a high level compliment, because she's reflecting on my attitude and she's making a statement about the way I live my life. And the truth is, and I tell Reverend Clyde this all the time, I just feel like one of the richest women on the planet, without question, because I've embodied that so well. So Thomas Troward speaks about this, the givingness of God, the ongoing givingness of God that is eternal. And when we begin to live, to embody that attitude, that spirit of opulence, when we learn to show up in that demeanor, and live from that space, then everything changes. And here's what happened to me when I started studying this philosophy. My relationship with money changed, but my relationship to everything changed. My things, my possessions, my clothes, the relationship we hold is an energy. And so all of those things began to shift and change in my life. And what I want to say is, when we live a life that in the spirit of opulence, those ideas about our things and our bank account, our health, our well-being, as we wrap a new understanding around what it means to be comfortable and opulent, it no longer is connected to a number that can be measured in any way. In fact, one of the greatest gifts for me has been that I have changed my relationship with time. I love being busy, and I'm good at it, but I used to really battle the clock. Right? I would say I don't have trouble with money, but my enoughness issue comes around time. It always seemed to me there was never enough time in the day to do all the great things I wanted to do or to get accomplished. But when we embody a different attitude and we understand the expansive nature of life itself, and that time is only something we measure in very physical forms. It's a metric that gets us somewhere on time, except for those of you that only show up in the dark. You get here almost on time. It's your timing, I get it. I don't blame you. But what happens then when you have that kind of shift is the ticking of the clock no longer feels threatening to you. You know, you realize there's always enough, and that I can change my mind in terms of the order or sequence of things I'm trying to get squeezed into one day, and I can take more time to rest. And you know, it's surprising. The world does not fall apart if I rest. I had to learn that, and I know a lot of you relate to that as well. You are blessed if you do not. Oh, I think that when we start seeing our well-being as a whole package, like that idea of the spirit of opulence, what we see is we are moving from a sense of living from fear into faith. We are now walking our life with this great faith that things are just the way they need to be, and what needs to be done by me, you know, I will know what that is, and then I will make the right choices. In many ways, a lot of this comes down to your personal image or self-worth, your idea of how valuable you are. So you can see by my illustration on the clock that I value time. And I think as I reflect back now, I can see it's because I really never felt worthy of taking time just for me, to comfort me or to do something pleasurable for me. I had 4 kids, you know, there's a lot of giving and doing, you know, even in a couple kids, right, Kathy? There's a lot. Oh, they're laughing still, that's so cute. So when it comes to self-worth, I always ask myself, if I'm trying to look at that and sort of measure how well I'm doing or not doing, you know, is there something better I can choose? And do I need to shift my attention in some way? What I see is it falls back often to me. It falls back on whether I am lovable. Not how much I love. It comes back to me in the way I can ask myself, are you capable of letting people love you Can you receive the love? See, the only way God expresses love on this planet is through us. And love, as we heard in the music and the reading and even in Clyde's presentation, love is a powerful element of the life force that we know to be God. So when I'm lovable, I'm a lot more loving. And so that's the reciprocal action. That's the law of circulation. You got to let people love you in order to have love to give back, right? We just keep it circulating and moving around. Do you value yourself enough to recognize it's okay to receive? Because when we do, we can give more generously in all ways in our life. So, do you take time to just pause and contemplate the idea that you are precious in the eyes of God? In that God vision, the reading was so excellent. You are precious. You are created by a creator that made you uniquely individual as to who you are. And I love, there's a passage somewhere in the Course of Miracles that says, sit and let God love you for 1 minute. Could we do that? Could you sit still for 1 minute and just imagine that the God of your understanding is loving you? It's a gorgeous exercise. Now, when I went to write this talk, to be a keen observer, those are the things we're talking about. Observing the way love shows up in your life. Observing the way there's a power and a presence that's greater than you are. And how does that show up in your life? Holmes said, I took the title of the talk from this quotation from Dr. Ernest Holmes: no one can be a student of history or a keen observer of life without coming to realize that there is such a thing as a spiritual power. There is a power that is greater than we are. And there is no place where that power is missing or limited. And therefore, what that means is right now in this sacred space, no matter where we are, or in that moment where it looks like chaos is unfolding in your life, right there is God. So we can always return to peace. We can always return to love. And we can always tap into that power that's greater than we are. It is a power for good, and we can use it at any time. This is why spiritual practice is very useful for us. My challenge for you this week is that you take a little, oh goodness, let's see if I can remember what it's called. I did this in class on Wednesday. Scavenger hunt, a scavenger hunt. Have you ever been to a party where you go on a scavenger hunt? As a teenager, that was really fun at a sleepover kind of party. Boy, does anybody let their kids spend the night anywhere anymore? It must be a foreign thought. But we used to not only have sleepovers, but we would go out on these horrible scavenger hunts where you'd be given a list. You had to go door to door and knock and ask people for things. I want you to have a scavenger hunt with God. And I want you to do it this week. I think this is such a good idea. I want you to get outside of your house, even if it's your backyard, but better yet, walk down to your mailbox or around the corner. And I want you to imagine that God has given you a list, and you, before you can go home, you have to identify 3 things that show to you, that validate to you the power and the presence of God is right where you are. So let God show that gorgeous spirit face or handprint or whatever it is that you need to feel validated. How will you recognize God on a little morning walk? Because I know when you challenge God in such a way, God will show you. But it is up to you to have the clarity of vision to spot it. And once you spot it and name it, it is yours. It is life-changing. the more we nurture our awareness of the miraculous nature of life all around us, the more we are keenly observing the presence of God. And when we keenly observe that presence and that power, and we feel that love, and we have those aha experiences, the quickening within us that just tells us, oh, here too is God. The more that we do that, the more ingrained it becomes in our lifestyle. The easier it is to just sort of habitually have beautiful moments of experience of connection with God and a connection with individuals and other people and new ways of interpreting the troublesome aspects of life that we are confronted with on a daily basis. So Clyde said we're looking at spiritual practice, and the practice we're talking about today is prayer, and prayer is the most valuable of all spiritual practices because, man, a good prayer can jolt you right out of where you were into somewhere better. If you're in a place that ain't so good, you'll get a lot better just in a moment of prayer, but you got to call it out. And the reason prayer is such a powerful tool is because affirmative prayer, done affirmatively, will clear your mind of any obstacle. Prayer has this power to neutralize negativity. It lifts us out of fear. It's so amazing how quickly I can feel that sense of rising out of something murky when I turn to God, when I speak the words of prayer. It restores our awareness to that powerful presence and the fact that we're not a sinking ship, no matter what. So pray. When you pray, especially with a really solid affirmative prayer, you are directing your attention to the fact that there is goodness in life right in front of you no matter what's going on. And so there's something that shifts when even you begin to just have a tiny space of willingness to see that it's okay. This too shall pass, whatever it might be. What we begin to see is we get comfortable knowing that the nature of life is good, and it's the way the universe was designed. It was created to sustain and support life, to be the source of the things that we need. So when we pray and we spend time with explicit intention in this gorgeous, sacred, prayerful way, we are elevating our thoughts. We can be keenly observant to the divine unfolding before us. And when we do those things and we step into that opulent spirit, that new way of being, that new lifted attitude. This is not just about solving problems, but it gives us an exalted view, a higher perspective above any of the murkiness. So we grow when we do this time and again. We begin to grow in confidence that we are not helpless against the tides of life. That yes, the tide comes in, but we don't have to be mentally flooded when things frighten us. It gives us a way of taking a stand for good in our lives. For me, I have to be able to say, no, the media does not get to control my emotions today. And maybe that means I have to fast a little while and wait for the tide to turn a little bit. I have to feel strong in knowing that I have the power. When I align to that power that's greater than I am, I have the power to evict any negativity from my own mind. And you cannot do that for me. We all have to take a stand in our own way to do that. Thomas Troward said this: true wealth is in identifying ourselves with the spirit of opulence. We must be opulent in our thought. You know what that means? Like we got to take the limits off, think out of the box, give spirit room to expand your own thinking, your imagination, so you can begin to imagine greater and greater good and solution to problems, including the economy or the issues in the world, the wars, the ongoing awful hard things to even imagine. He goes on to, so we must be opulent in our thought. And then he goes on to say, money is only one means of opulence. But as we learn to think opulently, that is to say, to think largely, to think generously, to think liberally, we will find that this thought will flow to us from all directions. Those are great words. Those are great words. To live largely and generously and liberally, where it's just there's goodness overflowing in every direction. That's how we are big for God. Right? That is what we talk about here on Sundays. We know that the way to stand big for God is to recognize your blessings, to start on the principle of gratitude, not just in the month of November, but anytime, no matter how stark things may look or how limited your life may feel, you start by being grateful for what is. Look at your life, look at your being, and give thanks to Spirit for what you can be thankful for, because there's always something. Be big for God. Count your blessings. Let your witness consciousness as a keen observer, let what you witness in the miraculous nature of life, let that inspire you. Blessed, inspired, and grateful. That is the formula for us to live in that way where we are big for God. So, scripturally, I love that term of when we talk about abundance, we often use that quote, pressed down and overflowing. Or I like that idea of the Christ consciousness that comes from the book of John, where Jesus said, I have come so that you might have life and that you might have life more abundantly. That you might find that spirit of opulence so that you can see the way life has always flowed. That troubles come and troubles go. That you can focus on all the things that are wrong and that they weigh you down in your heart, or you can make a covenant with God that you will start every day counting your blessings. And you will be better equipped for whatever the day may bring, anything that might follow that. So, in the natural world, in nature, we easily observe the givingness of life as pressed down and overflowing. We can witness the inexhaustible supply and the unlimited nature of the way life is freely pouring itself out. I always say, in the desert after a rain, the weeds crop up because life insists on coming back, right? And I was talking to my sister who lives in Michigan, and my sister has a farm, and they have a large wooded area, and she did a virtual tour. She took a walk, and she took me on her walk with her. So she's got her phone, and she's videotaping their bridle path that goes through their woods. And I was there in May, and it was just starting to green up, and there were flowers and green things everywhere, little critters. And now they've had their first snow, and all the trees have turned colors, and the leaves on the bridle path were so thick they were literally carpeted. You could hear the crunch, and not even just the crunch, but like I could smell the moisture in the leaves while she's showing me the video. Nature is abundant, and fall, if you live somewhere that experiences the seasons, the fall certainly reminds us of that as the trees release those leaves, and other trees that are evergreen do what they need to do to sustain their little part of the wooded area there. Dr. Ernest Holmes says it this way. Perhaps you've heard me say it because it tickles me so much. He said that that we witness the lavish wastefulness of nature. Oh, so here's a quote from Dr. Holmes on opulence. Whether your funds are great or small, and when I read that that quote, I thought, whether your income is fluid or fixed is up to you, actually. Who fixed it, we like to say. Whether your funds are great or small, you need to get all possible pleasure and satisfaction from them. If you are paying rent, if you are buying clothes or food or anything, you are choosing how you are using your money. Never, never. He almost never uses never twice. Never, never hand over your money in payment for anything begrudgingly. This is really good advice. The habit of silently blessing your money as you hand it over is worth cultivating. Because when you bless your money, or when you're sitting at your computer to pay your bills, and every time you hit that send button and you bless it, when you bless the cash that you hand over to anybody, when you bless that you're signing the check in the restaurant and putting your name on it, but you put a blessing in it from an energetic from your heart, when you bless your money, it carries with it an intangible value which will circle back to you. It's alive. It's a blessing. It's a vibration of good that we send into the world. We release our money with joy and with this positive vibration so that it can circulate freely and it can bring us great joy. So be the keen observer in your own life, and remember, the greatest lesson we can sum this all up with is that life delivers to us according to our capacity to receive it. And I remembered this quote from Dr. Holmes. He said, a pail turned on its side, a bucket, a pail, a bucket turned on its side cannot be filled with rain from heaven. So go out and pick up that bucket. Get that bucket so that it's standing there, because that's the container. Open ourselves to be that standing upright container, that vessel to receive, because as we receive, then we are able to circulate in every way. Our money, our funds, our well-being, our joy, our love. All of it is God's desire to have more of those things on this planet. And that's what I wanted to say today. I believe we should pray. So just take a deep cleansing breath. Reposition your body a little bit so that you are feeling comfortable in that chair that you are sitting in, or that space that you occupy if you are listening from home. Remembering that these blessings flow freely, that there are no obstacles that can block the flow of this divine good. And so we begin by knowing that right where we are, God is. Right here in this sacred space where we are hearing these powerful words of prayer, there is the activity of life that is stimulated to be activated, so that love can begin expressing in our lives, like the drop in the water that creates this gorgeous outward ripple. We understand that this is how life works. Right here, in this very moment, I feel that presence of love within me. And I know that it is the same presence of love and light and truth that abides at the center of everybody within the listening range of this prayer. Not only that, but it stimulates the intelligence in every fabric of life, from a blade of grass to a desert tortoise making its way to find time to hibernate. I feel and sense that wisdom and intelligence moving on this planet, and we see it in the way that the sky is changing with the season, that the color of the sunsets are becoming more magnificent, that those things that bloom in the desert in the wintertime are finding their vibrancy of life. And if we are listening from another climate, we know that there too is that experience of life showing off. So we become keen observers. We set an intention to recognize that there is a scavenger hunt with our name on it. Spirit is calling us to recognize how precious we are, to receive this love that the Almighty Creator has instilled within us, but also showers us upon us. So we accept and we receive, and we feel some joyful expectation stirring inside of us, and it brings us into a renewed sense of vitality within our bodies, so that anything that might be considered a physical ailment is being cured. It is being healed because the truth of our being is revealed from this spirit of opulence. It is a spirit of well-being. It is a sense of being uplifted and held sweetly in the hands of God. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. For I realize and recognize and declare boldly that as we focus as individuals on that spirit of opulence, it will benefit not only our own lives, but it will benefit this community, and it will spill outside the walls of any community and bless this world. So I do say thank you, God. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, life. How wonderful it is to know that we are here today to receive and to bless and to be grateful. And in that spirit of gratitude, I simply release the words of this prayer into that dynamic law that always says sweetly, yes, my child, yes, we let it be, and so it is.
Reflected shine back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
All right, thank you, Bradfords. And so I just wanted to clarify a grateful moment. So Reverend Karen was talking about how all the leaves falling off the trees would remind you of abundance. Well, I don't want that. I'm grateful that we don't have all those leaves falling off our trees. And you know why. So, and then one other thing I want to clarify. So next weekend is Dining with the Dudes, and the Dudes will be having a potluck for all of the community members. So please join us next week for that Dining with the Dudes. So now is the time to celebrate the abundance of our lives and the abundance of our communities. I want to remind you that we don't pass around the offering plate, that we have drop boxes in the back of the room on the way out the door in the back of that room, and then also in the bookstore. If you want to drop off your tithe, your contribution, your pledge, we appreciate all contributions. So instead of reading our giving affirmation today, I'm going to read the prayer card that I gave you guys. And so again, I'm asking that every day this month, that every day you hold on to this and you say this prayer to yourself to remind yourself of the abundance of your life and the abundance of our community. So I'm just going to read this card to you. The abundance of life is in, through, and all around me. I am expressing and experiencing abundance every day. I claim and accept my abundance, our community's abundance, and our nation's abundance. I am grateful for my life, and I am grateful that my life and all life is supported. I release my prayer and joyously await my good. And so it is.
Going to have a gift for you every Sunday this month. And I mean, he has really gone a little crazy, but he's done a really good job of making gifts, for providing us with gifts. So you get a prayer card this week, but wait till you see what's coming up. And you have to be here live in person to get your gift.
Ready?
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Sing that again. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. I ain't thinking about my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. And I ain't gonna worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you're sharing love with all. Raise your cup if you're hopeful for tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. Now sing it. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Again. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. One more time. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Woo!
All right, so let's say our closing affirmation. And repeat after me. I live an abundant life. And I stay open to receive my good.
I stay open to see my good.
And so it is.